Hello there, this is Jay from Jay Wanders Out. If you've come across my channel, you've either followed me because of my backpacking trip, when I thru hiked the PCT, or you followed me from my recent videos of my car trip where I've been living out of my 4Runner. And it looks like a lot of you have recently seen the tour and have subscribed from there. So welcome along and welcome to this channel. But today, the topic intermingles both, but it's surrounded by the global topic that's at hand right now. I'm sure everybody knows about what's going on in the world. And I'm here at my sister's house, actually, where we are sheltering in place in Illinois because the state has that state order by the governor. But we actually, Tina and I, we were going to fly here on a Sunday because we knew that things were accelerating. And at that time, we still thought she could do the CDT. She could thru hike the CDT. We didn't think it'd be possible by yourself because you have to go through these local towns and you rely so much on other people. But with me driving her, I thought that we could still do it. We could still resupply at bigger towns, at a big store, and you just go right back and each trip buy a lot more food and resources than we really need, so we can limit how many times we go into a store. And I thought we could do it. And so when President Trump announced the order that non-US citizens were not allowed in from the EU, we actually flew on Friday before the order went into effect. So we both got here. It's been almost 2 weeks now. Everyone's still healthy, so everyone's doing all right. Illinois has currently maybe 1,200 cases, so it's probably going to be much higher because their testing is going slower. But it's much better in New York City right now. And hopefully, if people actually start taking it seriously, maybe this will not be so bad. But I don't think it's going to be an easy thing, especially with how much I've seen where people are just not taking it seriously. So, and I thought I will also go over my current state and what I thought of thru hiking and car camping in general, and my predictions for the next few weeks, because the last video I released was maybe a couple weeks ago, and I came up with a bunch of ideas and most of them are coming through, sadly. So yeah, here we go. Now, the biggest thing with thru hiking is online people are constantly talking about how being in the woods is the best thing, being outside is the best thing. And people focus on the glamour side where you're outside and sure, you're hiking and you're away from people and it's great and it's less likely that you're going to contract it or spread it. But everyone forgets that you have to go into town to resupply. You have to go in town, take showers, to do laundry, all that. There are trail angels, you need rides. Most of the towns were older people, like I'd mentioned before. And it's funny how just in the last several days, it's dawning on people more and more. So on the forums, you see a lot of thru hikers I pretty much just shut people out when they say fear-mongering or common sense. People use those phrases over and over because those are the phrases they hear, and then they just kind of copy them. So they don't have any valid arguments or any kind of reason behind it, just except saying those things. But the facts are that all the groups online, PCT, all the hiking groups, as well as the CDT groups, there's a lot of bickering and there's a lot of people at extreme ends. Like I experienced it in 2018 when I thru hiked the PCT. A lot of people thought they were superstars just because they had time and the means and they're physically fit to go thru hike it. And I actually preferred hiking with section hikers more because they were just more down to earth. And I don't know, it's just, and the thru hikers were largely younger who seemed to want to do it just so they could say they did it. But again, they want to say they did it, not necessarily even do it. So for some reason, the thru hiking community, a lot of thru hikers their heads are just getting bigger and bigger. And a lot of trail angels that year and the year after we're noticing this more and more as well. And you see places closing, you see hostels not accepting people, or you see trail angel places not accepting people anymore. But because of what's going on now, I see that all the trail angels are starting to really see the true mentality of not all, but a good portion of the thru hikers. And my fear is next year, even if everything is completely normal and people start their thru hike, there's going to be a lot less trail angels out there. The trail angels, they actually help PCT people that know about it monitor these groups, and they see it, and they're not going to appreciate what's going on at all. And the sad part is, some people think this year, sure, they can hike, but the attitude that they're portraying is going to cause it to be much, much more difficult for the people years to come. It's just the facts. The other thing with these small hiking towns is I've just read an article about Mammoth Lakes. It actually makes me laugh in all these situations. Someone suggested that they'll start slashing tires from people out of state, but then they reminded me of the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode where the RVs started coming in, and then Charlie said, let's slash your tires, and they said, how's that going to help? Because they can't leave then. They're stuck there forever. But in the end, they actually decided to slash their tires. So it's funny how extreme comedy becomes reality. But anyway, I believe a lot of these hiking towns, there's always a small percentage of people that don't want hikers coming through. Sometimes they show themselves when they scream out the window or something, it's a hiker or something. But with this situation, in the way the people are currently behaving, especially the hikers, the amount of people that don't want hikers coming through town are growing bigger and bigger. At a certain threshold, they're going to feel empowered to act because they feel there's more socially accepted to do so. So I would not be surprised if in the next couple of weeks you start seeing hikers getting more and more things thrown at them by people driving along, or spit on them, or people taking their backpacks or slicing their backpacks. I see that happening inevitably. If these towns don't want you there and you go anyway, they're going to act. And I believe also some of the younger people who don't think as much about the elderly as most of the people in the towns, they may act just because they feel like they can because of the percentage of people that don't want the hikers there anymore. So if you're a hiker out there, be careful with all your gear. Keep your head in a swivel, look around, because that's the next step. It's unfortunate, but that's why everyone's trying to tell all the hikers to get off the trail. It's humanity. At this point, in China, they were walling off small towns and not letting any visitors in at all. Will that happen in the US? It could. The other thing I saw out here is before Illinois went to the shelter-in-place order, Tina and I actually went up to the Ice Age Trail to go hike a portion of that just to get out and hike. And we got there at 6:30, actually 7 o'clock, and there was one other car there, so it was great. And we didn't see any people for a long time. And then when we did see people, there were a few trail runners, and we would step way off the trail and they would run along the side. So it was great. We had our distance. But by noon or so, we started seeing groups of people, and we would step off trail and they would just walk right down the middle of the trail when they had ample opportunity to walk along the side. And later on, we saw huge groups of people, 2 families, at least 10 people walking around together, mostly kids running around, dogs off leash. And by the time we got towards our car, we saw one huge family come. We stepped off the trail, and they actually stood in the middle of the trail, stopped, and talked to us. And they asked us, this is on the Ice Age Trail, which is about 1,600 miles of trail in Wisconsin. They asked us, how far does the trail go? And then I told them, how far do you want to go? And they said, oh, we're just following the yellow trail, which is the yellow blazes that the Ice Age Trail uses. And the direction they were going, I'd say they had about 300-400 miles more to go because they were going on the east side. But I don't know. I don't know what's going on. So obviously they had no idea about this trail. They just came out there because everyone is stuck at home, so they need something to do. And for some reason, everyone decided to go hike the trails as something to do instead of, I don't know, cleaning up the yard, gardening, learning something. And then when we got to the parking lot, it was packed full of cars. There's cars everywhere. We saw a ton of people on the way to the parking lot, but it seemed like a lot of them also went the other direction. But we thought the Ice Age Trail would be a great chance to get out once in a while, but I think that's not possible except before 9 a.m. or so. So, yeah. So with all these new hikers going out, what happens when you get new hikers going out in trails? They know nothing about leave no trace. They just think about home. And of course, more and more places are actually closing down the restrooms at the trailheads because that's a good position or a good station to spread the virus around. And what are people going to do when there's no bathroom? They're going to go out there and leave tissue and maybe toilet paper if they have any, but probably tissues and anything they have just all over the trail. And newer hikers are also more scared of going further out of trail. So they'll actually go right on trail, and there's gonna be more and more toilet paper everywhere. There's less people going out to clean it up. It's just gonna be a mess. Unless the authorities close it all down and there's gonna be people objecting to it, it's just gonna be more and more of a mess. The typical people who maintain the trails are also not maintaining it because those are also group efforts and the National Forest doesn't want that. So any damage that happened over the winter, it's just gonna be abandoned till next year or until the weather's better. So Mission Creek out in the PCT, it was not destroyed, but had a lot of damage last year. I was actually looking to see if there were volunteer groups going in to fix it, but I don't think they're gonna do any of that. So unfortunately, when a trail is damaged and nobody fixes it right away, the runoff from the water is just gonna damage it more. So expect next year's or late this year's PCT to be even more damaged. As of right now, it's Wednesday, March 25th. All the big trails, people are asking everyone to get off the trails, and nobody knows when things will get back to normal. Unfortunately, the way the US is reacting with so many people not taking seriously and the lack of lockdowns and people still, major groups still telling people not to use face masks, whereas at this point in the infection numbers in China, in Hong Kong, Korea, Japan, they were forcing people to wear masks. So I don't see this getting better anytime soon. So I know a lot of you have moved the through hikes to Sobos, but I think chances are slim that things will get better by July. Maybe if they actually start making enough masks, they'll switch their terms and tell people to start wearing masks again and the infection will decrease. Who knows? It's just very odd that in the Asian countries they forced people and told everyone to wear masks. They were able to keep things under control, and in the Western countries hardly anybody's wearing masks. I haven't seen a single person anywhere in the suburbs here wearing masks, and it's kind of bad. I have some masks because I knew a pandemic was inevitable, so maybe 4 years ago I bought several boxes, and I have some here, and I brought most of them to my parents though because they're in their 70s, and I told them how to wear their mask, how to take off their mask, and how to be careful. So hopefully they're doing that, and I told them they could share it with their neighbors as well because they live in a, not a retirement community, but like a elderly community. So hopefully they're all okay, but I don't know. I know a lot of you had hopes for Sobo. Tina did as well for a portion, but right now she's actually trying to work from here because we left Germany earlier than she intended. She's going to try to do her best to keep her job, so she may actually have to fly back to Germany in a little while. So it's kind of a bummer, but I don't know. I don't know if the United States is gonna be any better or equal to the European countries. I think they're going to get worse. So my plan before was for Tina to hike and I would travel with her in the car. But New Mexico, they actually just told everyone that if you're out of the state to leave. So that kind of thing makes it so you can't even boondock in a BLM area well. And there's always the potential that locals that drive by will see an out-of-state plate and feel like they could vandalize your car. And even if went further, Colorado has much higher numbers of infections now and deaths. So yeah, we knew that there's no way of Jonah any through hike, even with a car supporting a person along the way. So for now, we are sheltering in place. My sisters, I'm at her back patio. They have a little fire pit here. We had a fire once. And I've been playing with the kids and reading the news, and Tina and I have been going for walks, but I haven't been working on any videos because I've been so busy. I've barely been on my laptop at all too. We've been planning on our next grocery run. So unfortunately, things are tough for all you thru hikers. I know you really, really planned it out and you had everything in place, especially the no place for camp family. They had their house rented out and they sold and gave away a bunch of their stuff and had all their meals dehydrated. And then now this. So, and you don't even have any alternative trails to go. So it's super unfortunate. Hopefully slow as possible. I hope all of you take care out there, and if you have canceled your thru hike, I'm glad you did. And for the people who are living a nomad life, living out of their car and vehicles, I know at least one YouTuber, I finally catching up, Catherine Gregory, she's staying with family. She's putting her truck in storage. My 4Runner is in the driveway of this house and it's been there for a while now. Unfortunately, it's just sitting there. It's a tough situation. I think more and more states are going to act like New Mexico and try to ask people from out of state to leave. And some people just don't have that option. They don't have the family that they can just go to and stay. If I didn't have my sister, I'd have to try to find a friend that would be willing to house me. And I would not stay with my parents because, I don't know. I guess it's okay now because it's been almost 2 weeks since we came back from Germany, but I just don't want to get them sick. It's just, that's the last thing they would need. So, I don't know. It's a tough situation for everyone altogether. Hopefully all you people out there living out of the cars and vans have some place to stay. Hopefully you found a nice BLM site with some water nearby. I just ask. I know all the Planet Fitnesses are closed, so if you can't shower, don't shower in the streams. You know, get a bucket full of water and go shower away from it. Just try to be good to the community. Other than that, I'm gonna go inside because it's still very cold here, and I'm in the shade. So we'll talk to you later. Hopefully you're all doing well, and we're still okay. So yeah, take care. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, I shaved all this off. You know, you get bored when you're sheltering in place, and Tina wanted to see what I look like without it, and it was weird, all right. But I'm starting to grow it in. It's been 5 days, so everyone gets to see the gradual progress. I might keep this part shaved so I could wear a mask when I leave. But fortunately, I don't grow any hair over here, so it's safe for me.